Many years ago, there was a king who ruled over the land of Persia. He was very kind-hearted and loved justice. His son Rahman was also brave like his father. The king was very fond of hunting and often went for hunting. One day it was a summer day, and the king wished to go hunting. As soon as he ordered, all arrangements were made, and the king set off for the hunt. The whole day the king remained busy in hunting. He hunted many lions, leopards, and 12 tigers. In the evening, preparations for returning began. Not even half the journey was completed when suddenly the king saw a very beautiful deer on the way. The king took out an arrow, placed it in the bow, and shot. But the deer suddenly jumped and ran away, and the arrow was wasted. The king became very angry. He spurred his horse and chased the deer. The guards and ministers also followed him, but the king's horse was much faster. He disappeared from everyone's sight. The king shot many arrows, but none hit the deer, and the deer vanished into the bushes. Night darkness began to spread. The king was very angry at the deer's escape, but what could he do? He thought it better to return. As soon as he turned his horse's reins, suddenly he heard the scream of a woman. In the deserted forest, hearing a woman's cry, he was shocked. At first he feared maybe it was some ghost or witch, but then he thought maybe it was some helpless woman. The voice was coming from nearby. The king got off his horse, held the reins, and walked towards the voice. Near a cluster of trees there was an old well, and on its edge a beautiful woman was sitting and crying. Her complexion was white as milk and her hair golden, but her clothes were torn and old. The king asked gently, "O lady, who are you and why are you crying? I am the king of this land. Tell me who has wronged you." The woman wiped her tears and said, "O king, I belong to a neighboring land. My father died, so my uncle seized the property and left me in the jungle at the mercy of animals." Hearing this, the king felt pity. He decided to make her his queen. His first queen had died many years earlier. He seated the woman on his horse and returned to the palace. The woman's name was Nagina. The next day the king married Nagina and she became Queen Nagina. The whole kingdom celebrated. Lamps were lit and everyone rejoiced. A few days later the king fell ill. Great physicians treated him, but there was no benefit. The king was confined to bed. He stopped eating and drinking. Prince Rahman and all courtiers were very worried. No one understood the real reason for the illness. The prince decided to go to the great astrologer of the city. He lived in a mountain cave. The astrologer calculated and said, "O prince, the reason for the king's illness is the queen. The queen is not a human but a poisonous serpent." The prince was astonished. The astrologer explained, "When a snake is not seen by anyone for 500 years, it gains the power to take the form of a human or animal. This queen is also a serpent who is slowly poisoning the king. 10 years ago, the king killed a black cobra. That was this serpent's brother. She is taking revenge. If she wanted, she could kill him at once, but she wants the king to die in torment." The prince burned in anger, but the astrologer stopped him and said, "You can only kill her when she is in her serpent form. The arrow must strike her hood directly." The astrologer gave a packet of medicine and said, "Mix this in the night meal. Empty the water pitcher and lock the room from outside. At midnight she will be extremely thirsty. Then you will see the scene, and that will be your chance." The prince did exactly as told. At midnight the queen became restless. Not finding water, she took her serpent form and went out through the drain. The prince followed her and reached the garden. There, the serpent drank water and then went towards the forest. In the moonlight, the prince saw that the serpent reached a house and hissed loudly. From the guard emerged a terrifying king cobra. Both twined together and began to dance. The prince hid himself on a tree. At the right moment, he shot an arrow and pierced the hood of the serpent. The serpent writhed and died. The cobra came out burning in anger, spitting fire. The prince shot arrows at its eyes, and then another arrow killed it too. The prince entered the house and saw heaps of human skeletons. He took out the magical gem, Mani of the king cobra, and carried the queen's body back to the palace. When the soldiers saw the queen half human, half serpent, they screamed in fear. The prince narrated the whole story to the king and placed the cobra's magical gem on him. The poison was absorbed, and the king became healthy again. The serpent's body burned to ashes. The king embraced the prince and said, "Son, you risked your life and gave me new life." The prince humbly replied, "Father, it was my duty." The king placed the prince on the throne and himself became busy in worship. Dear friends, we hope you liked this story. If you enjoyed it, please share your opinion in the comments and subscribe to our channel. Thank you very much for watching.